welcome back to a brand new video today on the channel, and welcome to the very first video of the spooky season. October is finally upon us, so I took the liberty of redoing a little bit of the set, made it a little bit more in theme with the season. But today we are going to be talking about the brand new slasher sci-fi movie released on Amazon Prime, Totally Killer. This film is about Jamie, whose mother was just recently murdered by a mysterious killer that claimed the lives of all her childhood best friends back in the year of the 1980s. But in a freak accident, Jamie is accidentally shot back to the past and is forced to team up with her younger mother as they must traverse the 1980s and ultimately stop the killer and prevent the murders from ever happening. That's all I'm going to say without spoiling anything, but if you're excited for the October season and you want to see more videos out of me, more October videos, please hit that like button, subscribe down below. It shows your support. But let's just get into this movie, because I'm actually pretty excited to talk about these sort of movies. I love slasher movies, especially during the Halloween season. It really just gets you in the mood, you know? It really gets you in the mood for just all the great things that Halloween has to offer, because Halloween has been my favorite for a very, very long time, and part of that reason is just the movies that come from it, and Totally Killer was a film I was actually kind of anticipating. I wasn't thinking it was going to be the next, like, Friday the 13th or anything, but I thought this film could be quite a bit of fun. And it also gave me the same vibe of certain other movies that have come from the studio, like Freaky or Happy Death Day, which, in my opinion, I think those are perfectly fun films, and they're great films for around this sort of holiday, and I was excited to see what this movie could be and if it was going to be good or not. And this is the perfect Halloween movie, I think, for around this season. I had a lot of fun with Totally Killer. Now, I'm just going to get this out of the way right now before anyone says anything in the comments, because I don't want to hear it. This movie is the perfect dumb fun movie. This movie is purposely kind of stupid. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's a slasher movie, but there are key elements into it where if you were to nitpick it, we could be here for like 2 hours. Nitpicking this entire movie, saying, well, that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. How the hell did they create a time machine out of basically nothing? There's a lot of questions we could ask about this movie, but I'm not gonna do that, because honestly, when it comes down to it, this is just a fun Halloween movie that I had a lot of fun watching, and I thought it was pretty funny. So before I get into the good of this movie, let's just talk about the bad, starting with, obviously, I just said, this film is very over the top. This movie is more meant to be a horror comedy more than anything, like a really dark horror comedy, and it succeeds in that way. But if you're just going into this thinking it's going to be a really serious horror movie with time travel elements, first off, you set yourself up for failure, but I don't think you're gonna get that in this movie, so maybe just skip this one. But if you're more into the idea of just having a good time, give this movie a watch, honestly. But also, getting into very specific things about my cons, I would say that the pacing in this movie, for the most part, is kind of all over the place. I myself found myself not enjoying this film for the first, I would say, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. It started off very slow, but then it would go really fast, and you really didn't get any time with any of our characters, and it kind of just ultimately felt like a big mess to me. At least those first 20 minutes did, but I can definitely say with full confidence that the movie's pacing does get better the more that the movie goes on, because by the third act I was fully invested and I was having a lot of fun. And another very obvious thing, I understand that comedy is completely subjective, but I don't think the humor in this movie works 100% of the time. It is funny, but I don't think that it's perfect. There are some really good moments, but there's also some moments that are just kind of like bleh, you know, just kind of whatever. Like, there's a lot of tropes, especially with someone from the future going to the past, like looking at an iPhone and going, oh, is this the time travel device? You know, it's you know, it's kind of funny, but it is cliched at this point, and those parts aren't really that funny, and there's a lot of that in this movie, I want to say too. But I think for the most part the comedy does work, but I did want to address that some of the comedy, about maybe I would say 80% of the comedy works, and that other 20% is kind of just cringe, just not funny stuff in my opinion. But honestly, that's all my cons for this movie. I thought this movie was quite a bit of fun. I thought it was incredibly funny, and I also thought that the cinematography in this movie was really creative and very vibrant. There's a lot of really pretty colors in this movie, and a lot of really fun sequences as well. There's this great sequence that are on like a ride, and it's kind of like one of those spaceship rides, like spins around really fast and you're kind of like stuck to the walls. And there's a really great sequence of our main characters trying to like evade this killer while on this ride, and it's a lot of fun. I actually thought it was fairly enjoyable during those sequences, and it's just a lot of really creative ideas in here that I had quite a bit of fun with. And I also do want to compliment the movie's reliance on time travel as it is a main part of the story. It's mostly done for comedy's sake, you know. It's very much just like the, oh, if you go back in time, this is gonna change and this is gonna change. But what I like about this movie is that it isn't all just black and white. Like, it's not just, if you change this, it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be terrible, it's gonna rip everything apart. In this movie, it is more played for comedy, and you get to see that other side of the spectrum where, yeah, it's a little strange, but it doesn't actually have to be, like, that bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not terrible. Like, especially during the ending of this movie, you think that they're gonna go a certain direction, and they don't. They kind of just skip over it, like, man, well, you just got a lot of reading to do on everything you've missed, and I thought that was funny. I thought it was different as opposed to most movies. Some people might say that was lazy and it wasn't fleshed out, but I don't really care. Like, this is very obviously just meant to be funny, so I'm just gonna accept it for what it is. It's funny. I enjoyed that part of it, but I just like the time travel elements in this movie, even though they don't really make a whole lot of sense. And it's such a cliche at this point for time travel movies to follow certain tropes, and they're in this movie, I'm not gonna lie. But like I said, I don't really care all that much. But an idea I really do like in this movie is the idea of putting the main character of this movie, who's Jamie, with a younger mother version of herself from the past. I thought that was actually a pretty interesting part of the movie for a couple different reasons, starting with like the raw emotion of it. Because in the present, her mom's dead, so you see her go through all these different emotions and this grieving process, even though she has her mom right with her. And there's a couple scenes in this movie where you can really just tell she's just trying her best to make sure that her mom makes it and lives. It actually adds some emotion to this movie that I wasn't expecting, but I actually thought it was pretty well done, even though they don't stick on it too much. But it's nice. It adds another layer to this movie that I thought was needed, and I thought added a sense of relatability to the characters. And when you're losing a loved one, you do anything to bring them back, and I quite like that. And I like the relationship throughout the movie as well, as the mom is kind of a dickhead back in the past for a fair little bit, but then you see her start open up and become that person from in the opening you see. And it's nice. It's a very nice way to do it, and I thought it was pretty well done. But honestly, that's just my quick thoughts on Totally Killer. I thought this was a perfectly decent slasher movie. It's not perfect. It's not going to win any Oscars. It's not going to become the next Scream or anything, or I don't think so at least. It was fun. It was just a very enjoyable movie that I think anyone could watch around the holiday season and have a good time with. And that's why I'm going to give this movie a perfectly respectable 7 out of 10. This movie's a lot of fun. If you have a spare hour and a half, I definitely recommend watching it. But yes, this is my very first review of the holiday season of October. Expect a lot more videos. I have a whole bunch of stuff planned for this season. I hope you guys like the new set. I hope you like everything that's going on. I'm just so excited that it's finally October and I get to talk about some of my favorite horror movies, and I think this was a perfect way to start off this season. But if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below for more content on the channel coming pretty damn soon, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. See ya.